Welcome everyone to our weekly Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading for the week of November 20th to 24th, 2017. And just a quick disclaimer before we get started here, trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. And if you need personal advice about your investments, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. All right, so as usual, we will get started with our market fundamentals news here. So let's take a look. Coming up, we have on Monday in the New York session, we have ECB President Draghi speaking, and then again at 11 a.m. he's talking again, and then we have monetary policy meeting minutes for Australia in the evening. So all those events will be very, very important. Anytime central bank is on the tab, or anybody from central bank is at the on the tab, it is very important because it can create volatility in the market. So their comments are usually quite important. So pay attention to that. With Australia here, last time the Reserve Bank of Australia wasn't all that bullish on the economy. They were actually thinking that the economy may decline in 2018. So as a result of that, Australian dollar had fallen as a result of that. So keep that in mind. If they have similar commentary in their policy meeting minutes here, we could see similar sort of impact here. And then on Tuesday in the London session here, we will have RBA Governor Lau speaking. So usually following the monetary policy meeting minutes, we have the Reserve Bank, somebody from Reserve Bank speaking, usually the governor, the head of the Reserve Bank speaking. So this is what we have coming up. So again, just like the monetary policy meeting minutes, anything the central bankers say will have an impact. So monetary policy meeting minutes just give the highlights of what was discussed in the meeting. However, the central bank governor, Lau, will then expand on those subjects, and people will ask questions. As a result of that, that creates volatility in the market as well. So just keep that in mind. And then we have inflation report hearings for the British pound. Again, inflation is very important, an important number that the central banks look at when deciding whether there will be an interest rate hike. And British pound, they have already done one interest rate hike, so keep that in mind. And then we have another central banker here, Fed Chair Yellen, speaking for the US on Tuesday as well. So a lot of central bankers speaking these days. Wednesday, we have autumn forecast statement. Again, red news for British pound, it will have an impact there. Core durable goods and unemployment claims, always an important number for the US, so something to keep in mind. And then we have crude oil inventories. These generally will have an impact on the Canadian dollar and oil as well. And then again, we have at 2 p.m. Eastern, we have FOMC meeting minutes. Again, very, very important, just like the monetary policy meeting minutes for Australia. These will be very important. These will be quite important this time, because now we are getting close to the deadline for Fed to raise rates. And if the sort of the comments or the things that were discussed in the meetings show that there's uncertainty about the economy in the US, or there is uncertainty with them raising rates, because there's still one rate hike left. They were supposed to do 3 in 2017, and now we are heading towards crunch time. So this one will be very, very important to sort of gauge if they are going to do another interest rate hike. So we'll have to pay special attention to that. And then retail sales for New Zealand will also be important. And then on Thursday, we have a lot of PMI numbers. PMI is a leading indicator, so these are usually important. And then we have GDP here for British pound, another important number. And then we are on to the ECB now. So European Central Bank monetary policy meeting minutes, a lot of central bank reports coming out this week. So we do need to be extra careful here. So we'll have to keep that in mind. And then core retail sales for the Canadian dollar here. This is a short week. We're heading into a short week because it is a holiday for the US, and then we get into this whole Black Friday stuff. So usually Thursday onwards, most people will take the week off. So if you're trading, keep that in mind. And the reason we need to keep that in mind is because liquidity generally drops, which means price can move faster, or sometimes it can be very dead in the markets because everybody's away. And other times things will have a larger impact because there's really low liquidity. When there's low liquidity, price can jump around a fair bit, just like Christmas time. So holidays create low liquidity conditions in the market. And then we have another central banker here, Swiss National Bank Chairman Jordan speaking. This will have an impact on Swiss franc. So if you're trading that, that will be important here as well. And then we have some more PMI numbers for Japan. Friday is a fairly quiet here, just the IFO business climate number, which will have an impact on the euro. So again, a lot of central bankers. We have monetary policy meeting minutes from 3 of them, so 4 central bankers in total speaking. So expect volatility in the market, especially with the short week. So let's move on to our charts here now. Okay, so let's start off with euro dollar. Euro, we were looking at this bullish pin bar, and last week we had said that market will go up, and this is where we are, back into the high here. Now, based on this bullish candle close, we could expect price to go up higher. Now, do keep in mind, we are coming into important support and resistance area here. So this could have an impact, but right now it looks like price is starting to turn bullish, and we could see a continuation of that higher. So if price breaks above this 1.1850 level, we're looking at the next target, which is 1.1980. So I'm looking for price to go higher. And if the bullishness continues, it can even go into this 1.20 level. So the first target that we will have to keep in mind is coming all the way from here, 1980, and then 1.200 will be the next target here. So looking for a bullish move in euro, but we have to be very careful with the 1850 level. So this level right here. So if the price breaks to the upside, then we could see a back test of this level again from the other side and a continued move higher. Okay, so that's euro dollar. Let's take a look at pound here. Pound has been bullish here as well, and now it's been 3 weeks and price hasn't been able to break the low here, and now we see this small bullish pin bar. As a result, I'm looking for price to move up higher. So the first target will be this 1.3330 level, and then the next target that we are looking for is 1.3530 level to the upside here. So coming from all the way over here. So this looks bullish at the moment. We have been range bound for quite some time, for a number of weeks, and that's why our first target is 1.3330, which is the top of the range. Now, because we have seen this range-bound behavior from British pound, we could see a bounce off of the top of the range here. So that's something important to keep in mind. However, if we don't see that bounce, we could see the price break through, again, pull back, and then go to the next level, because the price has stayed in this range. That's why very, very important for us to make sure we see a clear break above the range for us to continue long in that. So, but overall bias looks like it is to the upside because we have not managed to break the lows there. Aussie dollar here. Bearish for this one. Price has dropped. We were looking at bearishness here because overall price is bearish and it hasn't been able to really gain any momentum to the upside. We have had a nice bearish candle close here. So looking for further bearishness. The first target here to the downside would be 0.7450 level, and then 73 about 20 level. So those will be the 2 levels to the downside. First level 74.50, second level 73.20. Overall though, nice solid candle close to the downside. This is a nice, I like the candle close. So this is looking bearish at the moment. New Zealand dollar. Okay, New Zealand dollar, it is still bearish. We were looking at bearishness last week and week before, and now we are still bearish on this. We do see a break of this previous low. So price is now going to the next level. This was a very important support level here. It has broken through it. So the next level that we will look at would be the 66.70 level, which is the bottom of this pin here. So we're looking for price to continue lower. This support has been broken. Very nice bearish candle close here. So we're looking for price to go lower. First target 67.50 level, second target 66.80 level. So those are the two levels to the downside. So bearish in New Zealand dollar here as well. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD is starting to look bullish. So we have had this bullish move to the upside. We did see a pullback here, and now it is failing to break below this 1.2670 level here. And we have a bullish candle close now. So this is something that we were looking for price to pull back lower. It hasn't done that. So now, especially with Aussie and New Zealand dollar being bearish, dollar CAD usually is the opposite of that. So we're looking for dollar CAD to continue up further. And now my target for this one would be 1.2920 to the upside. So looking for price to go up higher in this one. So looking for bullishness for dollar CAD. We will skip that, too much of my marking of charts. Okay, Euro Swiss franc. Euro Swiss franc, as we can see, we have been filling this inefficiency for a while now. Price is going up higher. It's holding above this trend line. And now we are coming into this bit of resistance here. So we need to go back out a little further. Okay. So these are the levels that I'm looking at. So right now we are at, so we're at the highs right now. So if we take a look at it, it looks like price is rejecting the high. So moving on to, or looking at the daily, as we can see, we have had a daily bearish candle close. So price could pull back from the daily perspective. So in this case, the bias is still to the upside because we can see price is holding this trend line. So in this case, we are currently over here. So we could see price kind of come into this trend line and then test the high again, finally break through and continue higher. So overall bias is to the upside. The candle close in terms of our weekly is bullish to neutral here. Because of the spin, that makes it neutral because that shows that there is rejection of this previous high. And that tends to happen because this was a prominent, like this was a high that we haven't seen in a long, long time. Since 2015, we haven't seen this high. So this was the big drop when the Swiss National Bank sort of changed their policies. Anyway, so we are back here now, and I'm looking at overall, though, I'm looking for this inefficiency, the rest of this inefficiency to get filled. So we have filled majority of it. There's a little bit left. I'm looking for that to get filled. But for now, in the short term, I'm looking for price to pull back into the trend line and then push up higher. Again, the first target would be 1.1720, and then second target would be 1.1820 to the upside. So looking for price to push higher. Overall, the bias would be bullish to neutral on this. Pound Swiss franc here. Pound Swiss franc is interesting. So we have seen price sort of trade in this range for the last 4 weeks now, and it has rejected this bottom here. So this will also be dependent on, so we have Swiss National Bank chairman speaking this week, so that will have an impact, and also how British pound does overall. And if we see British pound push up higher, we're likely to see this one push up higher here as well. So currently it's in a range. So if the price comes and tests this 129.50 again, I'm looking for it to push up higher. So let's draw it out here. So I'm looking for price to come back and test this and then bounce back up. So this is in a range. I'm going to trade it as such. So trading a range bound move here, I'm looking for price to come and test the low of 129.50 and then bounce off and go test the high of 131.70 level, which is this level right here. And that will be the deciding point. So if Swiss National Bank is not very bullish, we could see one of these moves to the upside. So I'm going to keep that over there. So I'm going to have a target to the upside in case the price breaks out higher. So the next target will be 133.40 level, but we'll have to see a clean break of this 131.70 level. And to the downside, I will look for price to bounce at 129.50. So let's say if the Swiss National Bank is bullish, in that case, Swiss franc will strengthen, which means pound Swiss will drop. And in that case, my target to the downside will be 127.60. So until such time that it breaks out of the range, I'm going to trade it as range bound between these two levels here. Dollar Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc is bearish. Last week it was bearish. We looked at this bearishness. Now it's bearish. So now it is at important support and resistance level. So this 0.9840 level is an important level for Swiss franc. So we'll have to see a clean break of this level, but the bias is to the downside based on the candle close here. So we'll need to see a break of this level, and then I'm looking at 97.20 level. So that's the way I am looking, or this is how I'm looking at the market here. Dollar Swiss franc is bearish. Okay, so we'll do a couple more and then we'll call it a wrap here. Pound CAD here looks bullish. It broke above this previous high. And actually, let's go to the weekly one here. This looks bullish. As we can see, very nice bullish candle close. So the next target would be 1.7175. So 7175 is our next target to the upside. As we can see, price, we had a very nice pin bar here, failed pin bar because price it did go slightly lower, but since it wasn't able to break this low, hasn't been able to break this low, now we have a bullish candle close, and I'm looking for price to move up higher. 1.7175 level will be the target to the upside. Pound yen has been holding this trend line on the daily here. So let's take a look at the weekly. We are looking bearish here. So target here would be 146.98. So about 147.00 will be the first target. And then below that, we're looking at 145.80 and then 144. So those are my three next targets to the downside. But if you take a look at it, we have higher low and we are getting candle closes candles are smaller. So looking for price to decline further. 147.00 first target, 145.80 second target, 144.00 will be the third target to the downside. So bias is to the downside. Pound yen here. Pound yen looks bearish. We have a pin bar with a small candle body here. Let me just get rid of some of the lines here. Okay, so this is what we are looking at. Price is still in this range. So as you can see, this is a weekly chart. And for the last several weeks, price is in this range. So because we have had this bearish candle close, pin bar here, I'm looking for price to go and test the low once again, a 131.40. And very important here, because we are coming into the bottom of the range and we haven't seen a break of this bottom for quite some time, it is very important to see that price breaks down first, breaks out of this range before we take a short here. So I'm going to wait for price to show me clearly that it's willing to break, and only then trade it bearish below 131.40 level. But till then, I'm looking for price to move lower here. Once price breaks below 131.40, my bias is to the downside. 129.40 level will be the next target to the downside. But it could do this because this is the bottom of the range, and our rules for range bound trading are I look for a bullish move here. But if the pressure stays to the downside, especially in other yen crosses as well, then we are likely to see a break of this. So overall, this is range bound, and keep that in mind. But there is a potential opportunity for a break to the downside. So we'll keep an eye on that. This is very clearly to the downside, but because it is a big move down, we could see pull back into this 85.40-ish level, and then looking for further move to the downside at 84.00 will be the target. And we could go lower into about there, which is 83.20. So the move here that I'm looking at would be something like that. So that's the move I'm looking at. So bearish in Aussie yen. Let's quickly do dollar yen here. Dollar yen looks bearish. And then next move I'm looking for is 110.65 level. So that's the target to the downside. But here we have to make sure it breaks this 111.70 level and holds below that, because this is a major support level here as well. So overall, though, last 2 weeks it's bearish. And the candle is getting bigger, so the momentum has shifted to the downside. So now I'm looking for price to continue further. So even in this case, it could push up higher like that. So and then it could continue lower. So again, I'm always looking for pullbacks in all the trades, just so we can get good entries here. So that's the kind of move that I'm expecting. My bias is to the downside for dollar yen. Okay, so somebody asked about gold. Let's take a look at gold. Gold here looking bullish. We haven't been able to break this low here. So see how price stayed above this level for 3 weeks, and when something like that happens, it's likely to go higher. So it has done that. As the next move, I'm looking for price to go into this 1305.20 level, and above that into 1312.93 here. So now we do have FOMC meeting minutes coming out. So keep that in mind, because if they are dovish, they're negative, we could see US dollar drop. And if US dollar drops, gold tends to go up because they move in the opposite direction of each other. So then we could see even a bigger move in this. So keep that in mind. Overall, though, this looks positive. I actually don't have BDC here. Bitcoin is not something that I have that is offered on this platform. But Bitcoin is breaking the highs. So especially with CME offering futures on that and so forth, Bitcoin is bullish. But unfortunately, I don't have a chart here to look at it. And it's not something I actually trade. Yeah, well, Bitcoin is so bullish right now. The sentiment is extremely bullish. So I would not be selling Bitcoin at any point. So I would just say bullish. For Bitcoin, I would not be wanting to sell Bitcoin right now. I don't have DAX either, Hakeem. I don't trade indices. Actually, I may have DAX. Let me take a look. I don't trade indices, though. I don't see SPX. I have that 500. I don't see DAX. I have G30. Yeah, I don't trade indices. I don't trade futures. I only trade the Forex. I'm in Canada, Brad, not in the US. Okay, so Euro Aussie. Let's take a look at Euro Aussie. There were some good trades in Euro Aussie. Let's take a look. Do I have a Euro Aussie chart? Let me pull up a Euro Aussie chart here. So in terms of somebody's asking a question, if it's good to trade from 5 to 10-minute charts, is that what you're asking? Yeah, okay. So in terms of the way I look at it, when I take trades, so my process is I start with a weekly first. So start at the beginning of the week, I sort of get an idea of what the general direction is. Then on a daily basis, I do daily analysis. And from there, I mark the levels that I'm looking to trade. So when I actually go to take a trade, I tend to go to a lower time frame, like 5 or 15 minutes to actually place a trade. And even if I'm looking for a chart pattern on 1 hour, like I really like 1 hour pin bars, those are very good trades, and I like to take them. So even when I'm looking at a 1 hour pin bar, I would go to a lower time frame and then take a trade just for the entries. But just be cautious though, you could get stuck in the 5 minute staring at a 5 minute chart, and then you could sort of lose the forest for the trees. And so just keep that in mind. In terms of the question is, do I believe in the usefulness of pattern formations like the bat and the Gartley's? You know what? I don't trade harmonics, and which is not to say that they are wrong or bad. It's just that I have never really gotten into them. They just always looked a little complicated to me, and I like to keep things simple. So yeah, so I don't really have an opinion. I have seen people trade them very successfully, but I never really got into them. So just so that's my take on that. Okay, Euro Aussie, quite bullish here. Looking very bullish. We are into the highs here, though. See how we are at the very, very top. And based on our analysis this week, Euro is bullish, Aussie is bearish, right? So there is that disparity between they're moving in the opposite directions, especially with a big move like this. We could see a further move higher, but we could see a pullback into this 155.30 level, or even lower here into this 154.50 level. But excuse me, sorry. But overall, I'm looking for bullishness. This is quite a bullish move here. So I'm looking for a pullback and then a further move to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. First target would be 156.50 after a pullback. And then once we see the break, now this is an important level, so keep that in mind. And then we could see one of these. But very, very critical is, will it be able to break this 156.50 level? And if our directional trend stays in place, because we do have ECB, we have now Reserve Bank of Australia, and those guys can change things in a heartbeat. So I would be mindful of those, but if things stay as they are, the directional bias is to the upside. So Euro Aussie is looking quite bullish. There's a question about what trading platform I recommend for Canadians. It depends where you are. If you want to keep money, whether you want to be regulated in Canada or you want to go with the brokers outside. Brokers in Canada, there's tons of them. We have Oanda is very good. Then I have there's a bunch of them off the top of my head. FXCM, but they had problems in the US. They got booted out of the US, so you have to be careful with that one. And so the difference between, or maybe I can do a little video on this. There's a difference between regulated, whether they're regulated in the country or not. If the broker is regulated in your country, that means any money you have deposited with them will be safe. Not your profit, not the speculation, but the money. So let's say the broker goes belly up, like Alpari did in the UK. Anybody who has funds deposited by them is usually protected by the insurance. So people who had funds deposited with Alpari, they got their money back, or certain amount of their money back. Whereas when you're dealing with brokers that are offshore, there's no guarantees. I know a friend who lost a bunch of money because the broker went under. And this is why I'm not affiliated with any broker, and I don't normally recommend. So if you want to look for a broker, I would say do a due diligence. Yeah. So that's that. And if you have any questions, if you want to actually look at what I do, I would invite you to look at my website. If you want to take the courses and learn how I view the markets, you're welcome to check out my website, tradingwithvenus.com, and under Work With Me section, you will see what's going on over here. Okay, so that's all I have for today, and we will call it a wrap for now. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I will see you next time.